Alrighty, greetings. Welcome back to Black Bear News, where everything is connected. How are you all doing? Hold on one second. Whoops. All right, fun times. Okay, how y'all doing? Good to see you. Thanks for joining in. Um, Wanted to just get into it because this will be the last show of the year, so I wanted to give people plenty of time to call in or make comments or whatever. But we're live on Rockfin, where it's conversations about how bad glitter is. Glitter's pretty bad. I mean, I don't know. If you have kids, and I have kids, man, all the things that you end up buying for your kids, and you do it because you want to, you want them to have, the things, but it can be really overwhelming very quickly. Now, I already played the intro music, Delene. I started a little earlier, or mostly on time today. Anyways, yeah, it can be a little bit like crazy, but let's see. Denver says AI predicts the influence of microplastics on soil properties. Machine learning prediction and interpretation of impact of microplastics on soil properties. I'm sure probably not good. Annual microplastic release into soils is 4 to 23 times higher than that into oceans, significantly impacting soil quality. Yeah. Shoot, even in my my yard where I try to grow things, there's all kinds of junk in the soil, and there's a lot of plastics in the soil, which is not cool. We're live on Twitter, too. We're live on Twitter, Callin, Rockfin, YouTube. If you're watching on Twitter, say hey, say hello. Got a retweet, thank you. Let's see. It has been a long and winding year, right? So much has gone down. Not much has gone up, except for inflation and homelessness rates. Yeah, Osama, you're right. What price art or entertainment? Unfortunately, is we love the art and the entertainment and the music, but even that is probably bad for the planet. At least on the levels that we do it, right? Right. At least on the levels that we engage. Oh, forget this. I'll forget this. Sorry. I'm talking amongst myself. Hardy har. Hardy har har. Let's see. John Glad says at the bar yesterday, and a patron that works at a substation predicted a complete grid failure. Oh, yeah? Reasons? Or just a prediction? Speaking of grid failures, have something to cover about extreme weather causing green energy sources to go down. It also causes regular energy sources to go down. It causes everything to go down. That's what happens with extreme weather. But speaking of extreme weather, Jesus, we got some rogue waves in California. And Southern California is not known for rogue waves, right? Other parts of the world, yeah, for sure, rogue waves are a thing. But not Southern California is not a place where rogue waves really get. But what is happening all over the planet is king tides. And apparently this is this wave happened from a combination of king tides and heavy surf and whatnot. Like a scene from a disaster movie, is huge. A huge wave crashes over the seawall in California. Unfortunately, as industrial civilization continues to heat the globe, we will see more frequent and bigger scenes that look like they are from disaster movies. They won't be fictional. We'll come back and look at these real quick. I'm just going to go through the stories real fast, and we'll come back. Major floods due to extreme rains in Lata Janggut of Kelantan, Malaysia. Floods. Every day the floods. Steve Austin, one of the defining images of 2023, clogged car sewers. UK weather major. So you just see cars floating along. That's pretty much like an everyday image these days. So in Queensland, rainforest, 17,000 hectares of natural carbon scrubbers, trees, removed for wind farms. In Nebraska, a hailstorm in June 2023 destroyed a 5.2 megawatt solar farm, 14,000 hail-proof solar panels. Scotland cutting down 14 to 16 million trees for a wind farm. That's what you don't want to do. And you don't want to cut down trees and bury them underground to store the carbon. That's not what you want to do either. We need these trees. The solar panels will come and go, but the trees, we need them. We need them to remain. In Canada, it's very, warm, seasonally warm weather. More about this ridiculous December mildness in Canada, with temperatures well above freezing, even in the Northern Territories in late December. Above freezing in the British Columbia mountains or skiing is a quite hard task. Yeah, look at this. 5.3 C in northern Canada, 2.3 C. It's not supposed to be that warm. That may sound cold to you. It's supposed to be way colder than that. So this is actually an anomaly, a heat anomaly for the area. Maine disqualifies Trump from presidential primary ballot. Well, so in Colorado, they put him back on the ballot, but then Maine was like, no, we're going to take him off. Citing insurrection clause. Okay. And we'll talk about that a little more. Nikki Haley, somebody asked Nikki Haley, like, what was the deal with the Civil War? Why did it happen? And she said, well, it was about, how people were being governed and stuff. And they were like, what about the slavery thing? She forgot to mention slavery, and it was ridiculous. Remember when Vivek said that she didn't know the names of any provinces in Ukraine, and she grinned sheepishly because she knew that's true. And then somebody asked her about the Civil War, and she couldn't give a straight answer. Couldn't even come up with the answer slavery. Because I don't know. Why is she even running? Who knows? Manufacturing the winter blizzard, Dane Wigington. Okay. I guess I'll have to check it out. You don't. He doesn't think it's because of the polar vortex being out of whack. Or that, I don't know. I'll have to. If you want to call in and let me know why that's compelling, Osama. I'd like to know. Top 10 COVID events of the year that you never heard from mainstream media. We'll cover that on Rockfin. I should play it? I should play it? Okay. Well, let's see. You guys want to? All right, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it live. Hold on. Meow. Suddenly, I don't even understand how to Google anything. Search anything, excuse me. Let's see. Dane Wiggs. I call him Wiggs. You know, we go way back. Manufacturing winter blizzard. All right. Please. No, I'm sorry. I'm not gonna mock Dane Wigington. I don't know. I may still need an explanation of why y'all think this is compelling. Hold on. Let's see what he has to say.
At this satellite image loop that so clearly reveals jet sprayed dispersions being laid down into storm moisture flows over North America. Theatrically named Winter Storm Donovan is the latest climate engineering creation for the holiday season. Chemical ice nucleation cloud seeding operations are patented processes of engineering winter weather, often in recent years from large flows of atmospheric moisture straight out of the record warm Gulf of Mexico, as is the case with so-called Winter Storm Donovan. Chemical ice nucleation cloud seeding can and is routinely causing various forms of frozen material to begin falling from atmospheric moisture flows at temperatures that are often considerably above freezing. Ground temperatures eventually drop as the chemical ice nucleation cloud seeding process continues. The various forms of artificially nucleated frozen material can include cotton ball-like clumps, hail, grapple, sleet, and freezing rain. Ice storms are now increasingly the norm in the transition zones between warm flows of atmospheric moisture with rain at ground level and chemical ice nucleation cloud seeding cool-down zones. Atmospheric pressure manipulation via the use of extremely powerful ground-based frequency transmitters, aka ionosphere heater installations like HARP in Alaska, are used to augment surface winds, which in turn enhances the effectiveness of endothermic reacting chemical ice nucleating elements that are being seeded into cloud moisture. This form of cloud seeding also often dries up much of the available moisture that would have otherwise fallen as rain. Surfaces like roads that are coated with chemical ice nucleated frozen materials, which lab tests prove contain surfactants, can be extraordinarily slick. Super slick surfactant-soaked snow. Welcome to climate engineering. We are now told by the so-called experts, aka climate engineering cover-up actors, that there are warm sides to winter storms. Historically speaking, this narrative is an absolute lie. Climate engineering is the core causal factor in this scenario. The weather makers are absolutely desperate to create sensationalized headlines of winter weather while record warm temperatures continue to accelerate all over the world. Climate engineering operations are causing short-term surface cooldowns at the cost of even worse overall planetary damage and heating. Chemical ice nucleation cloud seeding elements are toxic. The impacts of these elements and the flash freeze scenarios they create at ground level are devastating to flora, fauna, and us. But there are no existing regulations to in any way restrict global powers from hijacking weather for any and every agenda they wish to carry out. Temperature and weather whiplash scenarios are becoming more extreme by the day. This is not the result of nature. Exposing and halting global climate engineering operations is the great imperative of our time. Okay. This is Dane Wigington from geoengineeringwatch.org.
Okay. I don't know. I don't know. Okay, I don't. I hope that I don't upset you by saying I don't find that super compelling. I do agree, Osama. I do agree. It's about hiding it from us, not about manufacturing or saving us from climate catastrophe or whatever. I think it's about. I agree, and I do think that's something I'm fully convinced that something is going on. I'm fully convinced. Fully. This particular video, and yeah, there's warmer weather, so maybe they're trying to manufacture some snowfall while it's warmer. He didn't really present, I don't know, he didn't really present a lot of like evidence necessarily. And the whole like the little grid thing in the clouds, like you can kind of make that happen. You can superimpose like what you see in the sky kind of into that seemed a little weird to me. I don't know. I didn't find it that compelling. And he didn't really present, he just did a lot of talking and said, like these are the facts as I see them, and didn't really present any other facts with it. That doesn't mean that I'm just saying the jury is out in my brain. I'm not necessarily totally convinced. Or of this particular video. I don't find it compelling, but that doesn't mean that I'm not open to more information about it. I totally am. And we already know, yes, Colorado makes their own snow, and we already know that there's plenty of geoengineering going on, all manner of geoengineering, right? Making snow, affecting storms in a way so that there won't be hail. Like there's absolutely, the ability to control a lot of weather. There is. That's fine. I just, I don't know. I just don't. I've watched Dane Wigington in the past, and I don't know. I have an issue with his messaging, and this is just me. That's just me. And it's more about the way he presents things and not necessarily the thing he's presenting. It's just the way he presents things. I'm not really a fan of, so I'm sorry. I do think that there are other factors going on, but I'm totally open to more information. He just didn't give me. He gave me like some chemtrail or some contrail chemtrail things like over superimposed on some clouds, and that doesn't compel me in any way, shape, or form. I don't know. Oh, there it is. See, it's not compelling to me. That looks like some video stuff editing. It's not compelling to me. I'm not totally convinced on that one, but I'm open to the information. It is warmer in the area, right? There is a temperature anomalies. The scale did seem weird, right? There was a pretty large contrails. It's a pretty big contrails. Yeah. Yeah, it was like him talking over some video that is supposed to be, kind of making you feel a certain way. Could it be possible? Sure. Okay. I just I think that there are, the jet stream is shredded, and there's all kind. The polar, cold air mass is going all over the place. So it's creating, lots of fronts, right? It's creating like cold fronts, warm fronts. Let's go back to this. Let's go back to this one. Look at this. So see this, the polar vortex, it's kind of, shredded. We have these warm invections coming up into Canada. But then we have a front of cold air in some places, which could create, typically when you see those kinds of meetings of warm air and cold air, like it can create some weather for sure, right? I don't know. Am I wrong? I need more information. I need more information than that. Okay. Let's see. Let's watch this. But this we know. So this is not. Somebody was saying that these things are, I don't know, generated too. But we know that all over the planet, king tides are happening more often. We know that they're happening more often. They're happening in Hawaii. They're happening in Miami. They're happening, and they have been happening in. Hold on. They have been happening in California more frequently. Again, king tides are not necessarily a thing in California, but in the last 5 years, we've seen king tides in San Diego. We've seen king tides in Balboa, right? On Balboa Island. There was that a few years ago. A big tide that swept through Balboa Island. But this is crazy. Big rogue wave that came up in Ventura. And here's another look at it. And people were injured in this. Let's see. Just another view in this. That's nuts. That is a big ass wave. It does look like a tidal wave. It won't let you put Jim Lee's YouTube channel on. I know. Yeah, I've watched Jim Lee before. He's okay. Jim Lee's all right. I've watched some of his stuff. I'm not. I actually find California newscasters calling it a rogue wave, but after 50 rogue waves, it should be called a hurricane. Well, rogue waves just are not a thing that happen in California. Historically, not a very common event. And in the last 5 years, there's been several king tide events. Yeah, the mainstream media is acting like these things are just oh, well, this amazing thing happened today. It was really wild, right? They don't want to tie it to anything else. They don't want to say this is going to happen more often, or this has been happening more often. Yeah, extra bullet. Places like South Africa, and then there are some places in the Mediterranean, or on the not in the Mediterranean, but European coast, around Spain and France, and those places get rogue waves. South America sometimes gets rogue waves. And even I saw somebody saying that in Northern California they can get some very big waves once in a while coming in, but like Southern California, not typically known for rogue waves. This is a big one. This is a big wave. It's crazy. Um, yeah, they do. Yeah, they do happen in the open ocean too, and they hit ships and take them out for sure. Very common in the southern hemisphere. More common in the southern hemisphere, but they do. Yeah, the Rouge waves. Denver says Intel is building a $25 billion chip plant in Israel, not worried about the bad press related to Gaza and West Bank. Right. Of course. They got plans for a chip plant and a pipeline. Etc. Something created that wave. Well, they've been having like king tides, high tides, and you get these really massive swells created by either weather anomalies or I'm sure that the ocean's being pouring out warm energy, right, heat energy that they've been trapping. I'm sure that might have something to do with it, with like altering the the pressure. I don't know. It's pretty crazy. Um, I mean, they don't seem to. Let's see. What is this link? Denver. I'm looking at this link you sent me. EVs and $9,000 air tanks. Iowa first responders fear the dangers and costs of CO2 pipelines. County officials say they need millions of dollars to buy the equipment required to safely carry out rescue operations amid a CO2 pipeline rupture, which can suffocate people and stall engines. But who's going to pay? Who's going to pay? All right. No, they're I mean, I don't know. The Gaza situation just seems to be just out of control, just wildly, nobody. There are people out there trying to shut things down and let people know that we don't want to do this or be part of it. But I don't see it ending anytime soon. They're just going to do what they want to do, and then later on, we're going to go, "Oh, wasn't that terrible?" Or the mainstream media will go like, "Wow, man, we really messed up on that one." Golly, will anybody get fired or face any fines for misinformation? Well, will anybody, you know, anybody's job be on the chopping block? Will somebody lose some pay because of misinformation or no? It's pretty wild. In one of the pieces of footage I saw from that wave, somebody was walking in front of the seawall right before it came. I was like, what happened to that guy? Hope he's all right. Somebody's just like walking on the beach, like, huh, look at that. Right? This huge wave comes in and everybody's, but that person like walked out of frame. I was like, Jesus, where's that person? All right, let's look at this. All right, so I know there's going to be a whole bunch of opinions about this. Maine taking Trump off the ballot. I know that people will say, yeah, he started that insurrection and he deserves it. Okay. I was watching somebody that I know on Instagram do a Andre, what's up? How you doing? Long time no see. Hope you're okay. I was watching somebody on Instagram do somebody who lived in Colorado do something about like how it was, Colorado, proud of my state, got it right. We kicked Trump off the ballot. That guy deserved to be in handcuffs on January 7th. I was like, dude, unfortunately, this guy has a lot of followers. And so I was watching it and I was just like, do you know anything about what happened that day? And what, I don't know. There was a lack of understanding of what went on that day. And I don't even really want to go super deep into it, but he hasn't been convicted of anything regarding an for one thing, he hasn't been criminally found guilty for something like that. So you can't, like Russell Brand, or we'll name some other people, or maybe not. But you can't penalize somebody for something that they haven't been found guilty of. I mean, I guess you could say, I don't like you, or you're not invited to dinner, or something like that, I guess. But doing, something that has, pretty large legal implications, you can't really do it. So this is a kind of a weird thing. I don't think this is going to stand. Probably won't stand. But I mean, and all of this, we already know. We know the deal. The theater is what is the end goal of all of this, I'm sure. And that's why I just want to say, like, if you're look, you can hate Trump all you want. He's a hateable guy. He's not, he's just definitely like comes across as kind of the worst version of a used car salesman to most people. And I just don't really, he's not somebody that I voted for. However, if you're in the camp of like, yeah, good, get him, that guy is the worst, and like you are using your non-thinking brain to allow stuff like this to happen, you're part of the problem. And I'm sorry to tell you that you're part of the problem, because you can't just, back in the day when the ACLU actually was defending like rights, people's civil liberties and rights and whatnot, and laws and stuff, and they defended the right of, like, the KKK or Nazis to march, to do a march, right? And people are like, whoa, okay, you can hate the KKK and the Nazis all you want. They're hateable. But you don't what the ACLU was defending was their right to march. They had a right to march. They had a right to speak. Hateable or not. You can hate Trump all you want. You can, the point of this is, yes, Bulla, Trump is the test model for this. More presidential candidates will be excluded in a similar fashion if this is allowed to happen now. Exactly. Trump is the test model for getting kicked off Twitter. For saying somebody doesn't have the right to speak or to, post on a social media platform because they did the bad. It's not about Trump. It's about setting a precedent for this kind of stuff. For saying, well, we don't like these people, so they're not allowed. So, anyways, it's that knee jerk. I hate this guy. He deserves whatever he gets, and he's guilty before he's guilty just because I said so, and the other people think he's guilty, and we all agree. We all sit around and we go, "Oh, I hate that guy. Yeah, totally get him." Like, you don't understand what civil liberties and civil rights are. You don't understand how things work, how the law works, and you're part of the problem. If you're saying stuff like that and thinking stuff like that, you're just generating this, like, yeah, totally, shut that guy down, with all disregard to his civil liberties or civil rights or his right to a legal redress. You just shut him down. You're part of the problem. And so, but this is probably, again, all intentional. And in the end, we'll elevate Trump if if they don't succeed in actually putting him in jail or actually keep kicking him off all of the ballots, it will elevate him. And again, it's not about Trump. It's about the precedent set of taking away people's right to speak or people's right to be on a platform or people's right to be on a ballot or people's right. Yeah. He's excluded from the primary ballot. He could still run as an independent. Huh. Well, they already did this to RFK, right? And was it someone? Didn't they do it to someone else too? If I remember correctly. Right, they were going to exclude RFK from a particular state's primary, and so he decided to run independent. I don't know. You're right. They told RFK that Biden's the guy. He's going to be on so don't even worry about running as a Democrat. So he got the message and ran. It doesn't really matter at this point, but because his stance on Israel is so heinous. If you actually listen to every single presidential candidate and their stance on Israel, it's all heinous. All of them are heinous on Israel. Every single one. There isn't one. Maybe, actually, let me take that back. Cornel West is probably the best on Israel. Cornel West is the one. It is the one candidate, and I apologize to Cornel West. He's the one candidate that's like, hey, this is some mess, and we got to stop this. He's the one candidate. But it's a precedent set. And so it doesn't, hate Trump all you want. Yes, he's a despicable. No, he didn't cause an insurrection. He hasn't been legally found guilty of such a thing. Just because you think they told you, right? Just saying accusation is not guilt, okay? I don't know how many adult human beings don't understand how the law works. And so you're like, oh, yeah, I'm totally guilty. No, he's not guilty. He wasn't found legally guilty. You think he's guilty. That's fine. You think he's guilty. But an accusation is not proof of guilt, right? Okay, just pointing your finger at somebody and saying, he did this, that is not guilt. Even if a bunch of people point their fingers and say, hey, look at this, he did this, it's still not guilt. It looks a little, if it was more people pointing than one or two, looks a little more guilty. They're suing to keep Cornel West off the ballot? Yeah, I'm sure. I'm just saying. Pointing your finger at somebody and just saying they did this is not is not a is not a verdict. So first of all, understand how the law works. Understand that just accusing somebody of something does not make them immediately guilty. Otherwise, but that's how. There's been a lot of precedent set for that in the last few years as well, right? The Me Too movement. That some people are really guilty. Some people just were pointed at and said they did this, and everybody was like, "Oh, they're guilty. They did it." Of course, we believe the accuser, no matter what the evidence. That's not. Anyways. It's real hard to it's real hard to be in the political realm these days, I guess. It's a push world. It's a topsy turvy world. Now, if Trump were tried in a court and found guilty of causing an insurrection, or if he whatever, it would be a little different. But it's weird to, it's like Russell Brand being accused of sexual impropriety and getting demonetized. He wasn't convicted of any, nothing was proven. He's being punished on an accusation or on whatever. And if you actually look at the thing is, if this is all theater and Trump is an actor, which is, the most probable scenario, then all this plays into setting the precedent for, kicking people out, shutting people down, taking away their rights, telling them they can't speak, telling them they can't do this, do that without any, legal recourse. Somebody just decides somebody over here just decides, like, I don't like this guy, get him out of here. That's the precedent that's being set, and that's a dangerous precedent, and you don't want to be a part of that, and you don't want to help that along, right? Like taking away people's free speech because you don't like somebody. You don't want to help that thing along. Anyways. You have to understand how the law works, how the Constitution works, how things work. Just because you don't like somebody doesn't mean that makes it okay, right? Somebody actually made a good point of if you let the despicable people just speak and do whatever they're going to do, you actually help the cause of the people that, you know what I mean? Like, they just look despicable, and so they, when you shut them down, you make them look like martyrs, and when you allow them to do their thing, they just look like the assholes that they are, right? So I don't know. The mob on 1-6 had many guns. No, they didn't. They didn't have any guns. They didn't have any guns. Are you sure? Or are you joking? I don't know. I can't tell. Sometimes I can't tell. Megan, you were going to call in. I was going to answer. Where'd you go? If you want to call in, you can. They didn't have any guns. If it was they're trying to say, like, one guy had some zip ties and something. Remember that whole thing? The guy found the zip ties. They were actually in the Capitol. He found them on the table and, like, picked them up. He didn't bring them to the party. It's whatever. I don't want to litigate, like, everything that happened that day, but it looks most likely that it was helped along by a lot of undercover agents in the crowd, et cetera, right? So, yeah, it's funny because I understand, why people would dislike. There's a lot of people that dislike Trump for very valid reasons, for sure. Absolutely. And in the end, You got to see the game that's being played. And so if you're getting all riled up and saying, "You're good, get him out of here," you're, if you're encouraging the shutting down of Trump's right to vote or ability to vote or right to free speech, you're shutting down your own right to free speech or to, legal redress or whatever it is. Yeah, Jackson Messer, I agree with you on that one. It absolutely was concocted, contrived, right? But again, lots of things can be done with people's visceral hatred of Trump, right? So just, separate that. You can hate Trump all you want. You can dislike him. You could, no, F this guy. He's disgusting. I don't like him. You could do that all day long. It's, sure. But just separate that, I really don't like this guy from, oh, this is stepping over a line. This is stepping over a legal civil liberties, constitutional rights line. And you can't do that to somebody, even though I hate this guy, I totally hate this guy. This guy sucks. This guy is the worst. You can't allow these constitutional rights to be taken away just because you hate this guy. You can't do that. And if you want to just go down the road of like, but he's a fascist, I don't know. Biden's giving him a run for his money. The old fascism department. Trump has been a douchebag forever. Yeah, for sure. Democrat, well, hold on, let's see. We deserve a WWF president, yeah. Oh, somebody was like, had a good comment on that. All right, I'm gonna get off Trump. Okay. Yeah, somebody said something about the fact that the anti-intellectual movement that started kind of in the 70s with your pal Rush Limbaugh and all the other people, right? The anti-intellectual movement produced Trump, and that's spot on analysis. Sure. There is an anti-intellectual movement. There's, and unfortunately, I might be stepping into some weird area here, but popular culture really elevates anti-intellectualism. Until recently, when the nerd movement kind of became a thing, but unfortunately, a lot of that was about looking like a nerd, not actually being a nerd. But like, the nerd movement kind of like was a reverse trend on the anti-intellectual, like, oh, you think you're smart? Yeah. I mean, but there's still a lot of people that are all up in that. Have y'all seen these? Has anybody seen these videos? I'm bringing this up because I don't know. I see these videos and sometimes I don't know whether I'm actually. Has anybody seen these? There's a lot of these videos on the Twitter, right? About what they basically saying. There's a lot of males, military aged, fighting age males coming over the border from all kinds of countries. And there seems to be a large influx of people coming across the border. That actually is true. Do you think this is a concocted problem, a made up problem? Do you think this is a problem? Do you think, um, I mean, I guess there is something to be said for the idea that, like, okay, if you allow, a ton of folks in, and then there's a Dick Durbin, the, is he a congressman or a senator, who is talking about drafting um, people, basically drafting immigrants into the military because there aren't enough eligible citizens that are willing to join the military. So they're like, well, if we give these people some money and they join the military, well, that'll be good for our military. And people were like, maybe that'll be bad. I don't know. But then a lot of people are, so this Muse is saying, when Biden recruits these military-aged men to serve in the military in exchange for citizenship, do you think they'll hesitate to turn their guns on American citizens when ordered? I don't know. Is that an outlandish idea? And just because it might sound outlandish to you, does that just make it something that you should just ignore? Or does that make it something that we should just think like, oh, well, that's silly, that'll never happen, right? Like if you just like poo-poo something or psha, that's never going to happen, right? Like, but maybe that's not a healthy attitude to take. I don't know. I don't know. I see these videos and I'm not really quite sure when to think about it. But you know, do you think the issue of immigrants being drafted in the military, do you think that's a bad idea? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't really. I'm not. I don't really. I don't think anybody should be in the military. I'm not a fan of the military in general, so here we go. Dick Durbin wants to allow illegal aliens to join the American military in exchange for citizenship. Do you think this is a concocted problem? Is this just something somebody's making up in order to get everybody all like, "Oh my god," to make it a hot button issue, if you will? Here, let's listen to Dick Durbin.
Yes, we need order at the border. About the debate now about the southern border is it is one half of the immigration equation. Yes, we need order at the border. Yes, we need to have changes in the laws that reflect the reality of the overwhelming numbers from all over the world who are coming to our shores and our border. But there's also an incredible demand for legal immigration into this country even now. The presiding officer, my colleague from the state of Illinois, has legislation which addresses one aspect of that. Her bill, and I hope I describe it accurately, says that if you're an undocumented person in this country and you can pass the physical and the required test, background test, the like, you can serve in our military, and if you do it honorably, we will make you citizens of the United States. Do we need that? Do you know what the recruiting numbers are at the Army and the Navy and the Air Force? They can't reach their quotas each month. They can't find enough people to join our military forces. And there are those who are undocumented who want the chance to serve and risk their lives for this country. Should we give them a chance? I think we should. And let me tell you about other.
Okay. I don't know. I don't know if this is a. I don't know if this is a drummed up issue or not. But I do think, I don't know how, if somebody's just fighting for a paycheck, right? We got to recruit some mercenaries into our own army because we don't have enough people that want to fight. Something about that feels like it won't end well. You know what I'm saying? All right, we're going to jump to, Jay Moniker says it's a good thing the armed forces aren't meeting their quotas. Of course, they will use more drones and AI robot dogs, right? Yeah, they're busy. They're busy building those things. Lonely warehouse somewhere. Thousands of robot dogs being built every day. Yeah, no, I trust me. I'm happy about lack of recruitment for the military. I think everybody should just be like, nah, we don't want to do this. I'm good. Of course, and people say if that happens, then you'll get a draft and people will be forced into the military. But then, how good is that for morale of the country, right? If we had they fear instituting a draft again because Vietnam. People were really, really upset about that. Okay, we're going to jump to Rockfin for just a few minutes. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching. YouTubers, and I'll see you on Rockfin. And YouTubers will see you on Monday, January 1st. I think so. I think January 1st I'll do a show. Or maybe January 2nd. I really haven't thought that one out yet. I'm not sure. I'll see you Monday or Tuesday, guys. Okay, Rockfinners will be over here in a sec. Oh, before I do this, let's do the thing. I bring the show to you for free 99 every day. So if you like the show, continuing to go forward, it's really incumbent on y'all to support the show and keep this going. You can help out by buying me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/blackbearnews. Cash apping me at Red Llama Music. You can Venmo me at Kevin Sandblum. You can PayPal.me at Kevin Sandblum. You can Zelle me at Kevin Sandblum at protonmail.com. All right. See you on Rockfin.